going?
Going.
How you doing today?
All right, Mr. Mason. Seems like we're on the flip side of the production scenario today.
Yeah.
So, what's on your mind, and what do you want to get out to cyberspace today?
So I have a few topics to cover. I'm gonna go over this real quick, but I want to talk about North and South Korea, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna talk about
Nice.
the mandate that basically, I don't know if it's a mandate, but basically the president said that Liberians who were on deferred enforcement departure status, they have to leave by next year. These are Liberians living in the U.S. And
I hate to cut you off. I hope this is not an important thing. Unable to establish a wire data connection, MIP 67. Is that going to be a problem?
Is it still recording?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's just talking about Wi-Fi earlier. And then the last thing is we want to talk about black people collectively pulling money together to fight injustice. So I'm gonna jump right in with the whole Liberians on a former TPS immigration status, and what TPS stands for is temporary protective status. And this ended under George Bush's administration, but they transferred to be termed as deferred enforcement departure. Basically, during the 1990 Civil War, a lot of Liberians came here within that time span.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them came on visiting visa. A lot of them actually came on visiting visa, and they ended up staying. And because we had a civil conflict in Liberia, they couldn't really send those people home. So in order for those people to remain in the U.S. and work, they had to have, at the time, the temporary protective status.
Okay.
So that was instated.
Wow.
So after a while, when things got a little better, and things have been okay until we had, as you can remember, the Ebola crisis back in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of changed it to the deferred enforcement departure. So next year, Donald Trump passed a law or something that next year, these Liberians who are still on this status, they have to go back. My advice to these people who are still my people is, instead of just waiting and hoping that things are going to change like it did under the Clinton's administration, George Bush's administration, Obama's administration, Donald Trump is a different type of individual. He's actually enforcing this immigration thing and sending a lot of people back to their countries if they don't have paperwork. So instead of just waiting and hoping that things will go right, be proactive. What I mean by that is simple. All you got to do now is work 2 or 3 jobs to save money if you have to. If you have a business, just the whole idea is to save money, to prepare yourself just in case you have to go back. That way you already have a head start. You can go there and start a business or do something with your life. You can live comfortably still. So be proactive, save up some money. If you have to learn a trade, or if you have to get your kids who might be affected by this as well, if they would be going, because normally the kids would not go if they were born citizens. So
right.
They will stay, but the parents might have to go. So if that's the case, go ahead right now, get some trade going, have a business plan, have an idea, talk to relatives on the ground, and have things in place to where next year if you have to leave, you're not starting from zero. That's what I would say. If you want to add something to that real quick, you could go ahead and say something.
Well, just sitting here listening to you, it sounds like there's going to have to be a collective mindset established with what you're recommending. And I do believe you're correct. Trump would more than likely enforce this scenario. And if you're not ready and prepared, thinking everything's going to be okay, you can't sleep on any of these politicians, certainly not this one.
Not this one.
With respect to what you're talking about.
And especially the thing about it is not only Liberians are going to be affected, all other people from El Salvador and Mexico and other countries, citizens of other countries who are here on non-immigration status or that particular status, they are also going to be affected. So This is not only for Liberians, but we know for a fact that Liberians will be affected. The next thing I want to talk about briefly is North and South Korea. So we all know that over the past week or two, North and South Korea decided to hash out their issues. We don't know at what extent they hashed it out, but we know that there's no Korean War that's going to be fought or anything like that. And the two presidents came together and basically to work together. What I see with that is basically that they see Donald Trump as unpredictable. So he's unpredictable. They don't know what he's going to be doing next, and they feel like it's best for them to come together. And it makes perfect sense. What do you want to add to that?
Well, I would tend to just agree with you on that. However,
disagree.
Agree with you with the fact that they do think he's unpredictable. Maybe we need to get our stuff together.
Right.
With respect to the Koreans, they really need to lock in and get themselves together. They're family members. The North and South. That may not ever happen with the North wanting to be that strong dictator and be in control. However, they do seem to have come against common ground for the Trump administration. I still think China is heavily involved with brokering a lot of this, but
exactly.
Yeah.
China definitely has a part to play with this because they actually do a lot of trade with North Korea. So the next thing I want to touch on is how many minutes do we have, by the way?
4 minutes.
Okay. So the next thing I want to touch on is the black community collectively pulling money or resources together to fight injustice. It's not only about injustice, but injustice is really big nowadays. And I want to throw out a quick example with the guy who stopped the Waffle House shooting. Forgot his name. He's a black guy, but basically out of Tennessee, as we know. That guy was able to raise some funds. Initially, the idea was to raise funds for his daughter's college fund, and it turned out to be something completely different. His initial goal was $15,000. It went all the way up to $200,000+. So he was able to raise this, and he decided to use the funds to help bury the victims of the shooting. So the families of the victims are going to be compensated in some way to bury their relatives. That's number one. Number two, I haven't really seen the video, but I know he went on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and he also was able to gain $200,000 and some more in funds that was coming directly to him this time around. So as we see, a situation like that could really put you in a better place if you have the financial means for it. So I just wrote a few things down, basic things that for black people to get ahead in. And number one would be definitely life insurance. Life insurance is very important. At least if you are a parent and you die, your kids will have something. That's number one. Number two, starting a business. Parents starting a business and really getting the kids involved early. Number three, good health. And good health meaning we all have to exercise, find a way to exercise and get off eating junk food and bad food. Number four, we all have to start taking trade seriously. Skill sets that basically will set you apart from everybody else. So trade is very important. Number five, saving money for the long and short term, and possibly saving money for legal issues, because we all may run through some type of problem and we don't even have money to bail ourselves out of jail. Six, community building by starting civil legal funds to fight discrimination. So you could start it with your family or friends and say, look, let's save some money, so if any of us get in legal problems, and I think they have prepaid legal for that as well, but prepaid legal might not cover all your expenses, and anything could happen to anybody at any time. Seven, saving money to travel around the world. We have to be able to travel around the world to see what the world has to offer. Number eight, invest in purchasing a home in another country if you have the means to, or at least save money to try to do something like that. That way you have another sense of security. Number 9, security is very, very important. We should always include our family members and close friends when it comes to security issues, and whether that means learning martial arts or any type forms of security, protecting ourselves, even learning how to deal with arms and stuff like that. Those are all important. And number 10, identifying coons and staying far away from them. I know it sounds funny, but you never really want to be around somebody who's an informant, who's gonna rat you out, who's gonna like basically throw you to the wolves. So these are just basic things. Make sure you check out on my website, that's blackamericastar.com. Check out Cliff's website, that's empft.org. And make sure you support my brand new album called Carnival. And if you're on the conscious tip, the Carnival is actually on mrpllc.com/carnival. If you're on a conscious tip, like conscious music, stuff with sense, get my album Inspired too, and it's on mrpllc.com as well. I'm your boy Mizonic. This was fun, quick, peace.